Greetings and salutations, race fans, motorsport lovers, and others, and welcome to another special broadcast from Raceday.tv in our series, South African Legends, Legends of Motorsport. Today we talk to a farm boy from Stellies who has won Dakar once, competed in 17 Dakars, only finishing once outside the top 10, and that was in 11th position. From Stellenbosch, very big welcome to Giniel de Villiers. Giniel, thank you so much for joining us.
Morning, it's a pleasure to join you. At least it gives me something to do in this lockdown.
You were talking earlier, you said you've mowed the lawn, you've got your bicycle trainer on the veranda, and you're pedaling hard and keeping fit and going nowhere.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's obviously difficult times. We all got to stay in our houses. And it is frustrating, I must say. We can't get out. We've got, like you said, I've got the bike here set up on the balcony, and trying to stay fit. We've got to try and stay fit. I think the main thing is to try and stay sane. I've got 3 small kids, 7, 5, and 3, so that is a big challenge in itself. But yeah, I mean, you get to do things that you don't normally do, but at the moment the house is probably packed up, and you packed out all the cupboards and redid everything, so we're starting to get bored now.
Yeah, and starting with some crazy games to play and try and keep your mind busy.
Yeah, for sure. As I said, it's very difficult these times, but we got to all play our part, all do our bit to try and get rid of this virus as soon as possible, and so that we can get back to normal. We all would like to go racing again. We did 1 race this season, and then everything else was cancelled, and for the moment it looks like it's cancelled up until end of June for sure for us, but we don't know what's going to happen. So let's hope, we all must do our part, and let's hope things can return to normal as soon as possible.
Yeah, I tell you, we're all missing racing, and you drivers probably a lot more than us spectators. You're a Dakar legend. If any motor manufacturer wants to finish a Dakar, you have got to be right at the top of the go list for them. But it wasn't always off-road, and it wasn't always cross-country. Many moons ago, there was a little red Cadet, and that's where your track racing really started at Killarney. And you surprised a lot of the factory teams with your speed in that cub.
Yeah, the one you're showing there is actually a Ford Laser. That was my first car that I got in Group N. That was that year. That is exactly 1992 that you're showing there now. And yes, it was great times. I started off my motor racing career on the racetrack, as you said. I started off here in Killarney in Cape Town, and I did a couple of years of club racing before that. That was my first Group N car, and look, the first race I did, I finished stone last, and I thought this was very, very difficult. But as you got to know the different things that you have to do, and the commitment and the hard work you've got to put in, things started to get a little bit better, and we progressed up the field, and eventually started winning races. So very fond memories of those days, and funnily enough, last week I actually watched quite a bit of old footage from the old touring car days. You showed the Nissan Primera now, but it was actually quite fun to have a look at that again.
Well, that was the start of the relationship with Glenn Hall. Saw you, and probably for you almost a lifelong relationship. The Sentra in the super touring cars, that wasn't an easy car to drive, was it?
No, I watched a lot of footage of that exact car. That was 95 and 96, and that car was very, very twitchy, very difficult to drive on the shorter circuits like Killarney and Port Elizabeth, we managed to get close to the Opel Vectras and the BMWs and the Audi Quattros back then. But on the longer circuits, East London, Kyalami, we really battled. And having watched some of the footage last week, I actually realized how much we battled. So that car was very difficult until we got the Primera in at the end of '96. Then things changed quite a bit.
Now that Primera, and I think Fritz, picture number 4, that was the start of truly a golden period in your racing as well as in Nissan Motorsport, where you and Duncan Foss, I think you won 3 championships in a row on that car. It was the truly dominant and a very great period of racing for you and Nissan.
Yeah, look, I mean, that was probably the most successful period for me. That was from 1997 to 2000. It was 4 championships in a row, and just an incredible car. Everything came together for us. We learned a lot of things with the old Sentra, which made it very difficult to drive, and all of that knowledge and expertise together with Glenn's help and his team, we carried over to the Primera, and we managed to dominate the series from '97 to 2000. So a lot of fond memories from those days, and for sure it was a very successful part of my career.
And then that chapter kind of came to an end when touring cars died, and then you become an off-road racer and transition into Nissan Buckies and in the South African cross country, and then get to go to Dakar 2003.
2003.
And start a period of Dakar where, 5th overall in your first event, 7th overall in 2004, and you win a stage. That Nissan, again, had an incredible amount of engineering and development, and in conjunction with Overdrive, who bring it forward right today, that relationship is still there.
Yeah, look, I mean, that was my career took totally a different path. It was sort of by force. As you said, touring cars came to an end. And Nissan said, listen, if I want to stay part of motorsport and still continue competing, would I be interested in doing some off-road racing? And I said, well, why not? I grew up on a farm. I'm used to driving on dirt roads, so let's give it a try and see how it works out. And as you rightly said, 2003 was my first Dakar. That was in the Nissan. And 2004 and 5 also in the Nissan. That particular one on the screen now, that was the second year. The first year had that big wing on the previous picture that you showed, and I just remember that wing kept on breaking off. It worked very well, but it kept on breaking off over the bumps and the rough terrain of the Dakar. But look, I mean, it was a completely different experience for me. So many new things to learn. Driving in the desert, blind driving, and these kinds of things, and also all of a sudden you got somebody chatting to you, talking in your ear the whole time, telling you where to go. You had to get used to that. But look, I did a year or 2 in South Africa in the South African Off-Road Championship, and that prepared me quite well in terms of that. But for sure, going to do the Dakar is a massive experience, and you've got to learn to drive the dunes, which is completely different. We don't have that in our championship here. And it took me a couple of years before I really felt comfortable. But yes, I mean, it was a great challenge, and something I really enjoyed.
Then in 2005, you won stages, and this was still in the African version of the event. So you win 2 stages, you finish 4th overall, and by now you've caught the eye of Volkswagen, and they sign you when the Nissan project stopped for 2006. They sign you to drive the Touareg. That must have been a massive change. First time out of, shall I call it, under the wing of Glyn and out into the big German world?
Yeah, look, I mean, that was a big thing for me. The first time that I really got a big international motorsport drive, 2006 in the Touareg, as you rightly pointed out, and for sure, very very exciting. Something that I always wanted to do, and I finally got the chance. And yeah, I mean that in the beginning it was hard work as well with the Touareg. The Touareg was has been developed for 2 or 3 years, but it took another 2 or 3 years before we finally got it to a winning machine, and then it was basically unbeatable. So that's also the car that I won with in 2009, and
2009,
uh,
yeah.
a wonderful car to drive, and yeah, a lot of fond memories with that car, and we also won a lot of other races in
Yeah.
the World Cup as well.
And that was you and Dirk van Zitswitz started your relationship there, which then carried on. And I mean, look how young you guys look.
Yeah,
It's
time
like
flies.
so. Then
That's amazing.
then Glyn. In the meantime, Glyn has moved to Toyota. And why did you end up leaving Volkswagen and coming back to the Toyota project?
Well, Volkswagen stopped the program. We won the Dakar 3 years in a row with VW. The first year I won, the second year Carlos Sainz won, and the third year Nasser
NASA,
Al-Attiyah won.
yeah.
So then they decided to stop the project. They went into WRC. That's where they wanted to go next. And yeah, that left us without a drive. So basically 6 months before the end of that, Glenn, I was on the phone, I was speaking to Glenn, and he said, yeah, there was just this project with Toyota, maybe, busy starting to happen. They want to go to Dakar. And I said, well, end of the year, I'm out of a job. So let's see, maybe we can make things happen. And, things turned out in a good way, and the timing was correct. And I ended up there, and I'm still there. So we've had a few very successful years there. There was also a great challenge, to develop the Hilux from scratch and to get it onto a world beating level. And finally, 2 years ago, we managed to win the Dakar Rally with Nasser Al-Attiyah.
I think that it's been a fascinating growth, the Toyota side of it, in terms of SA motorsport. Almost the percentage of cars in Dakar that are designed and built in South Africa, absolutely huge. And not only the Toyota that you won a stage again this year, but also the Century Racing vehicle also won a stage. So that South African influence on Dakar is absolutely massive.
No, it is massive. It started off small, and now it's become really big. The amount of cars on the Dakar that have been built here in South Africa is huge. I think it's 40 or even more cars that was built here in South Africa. So it's wonderful to see that. It's wonderful to see that us as South Africans, is a very small nation, compared to the rest of the first world countries out there. We do have the expertise, and we have the people here to also build successful race-winning cars that can compete on an international level, and that's just wonderful to see. And for me to have been part of that is was really a great privilege, and it's always nice to see South Africans over there doing well, competing, and at the end of the day, that's what we want to see as South Africans.
Talking about the South African, and we go back to the South African Cross Country Series, and probably, it's rated as the most competitive cross country series, national series in the world. And the importance of you training and developing the car here and racing the Toyota Hilux in South Africa, how much emphasis do you put on that versus some of the other international events that you do as well?
Yeah, look, we do a tremendous amount of training and practicing here in South Africa. The Hilux has been developed here completely from scratch. In Midrand there at Glen Hall's headquarters, and we do most of our testing we do back here in South Africa. We use our off-road championship here to do some of the tests, and we've got some very competitive cars here in our series, which gives you a good level to compare yourself against. And we go to places like the Kalahari Desert. We're lucky to have that here. We go to places like Namibia where we can go and test. So we do most of the base testing we do here in South Africa and neighboring countries like Namibia. And then we also use one or two international races like the Morocco rally specifically to fine-tune things. But
last year when you won Morocco, you'd had a I don't know how to put it, but you'd had a bit of a rough run for a while, and then you go and win Morocco. That just, you seem to be a different person after that, just with a whole lot more confidence and back to the confident Giniel.
Oh, look, in motorsport, I've learned that over the years. I've been involved in that now for 30 years, but I've learned that over the years. You do get good periods. I mean, I had a good period, 97 to 2000, which was exceptionally long and good. But you do get bad periods as well. 96, I had a terrible year in touring cars. I think I only scored 4 points the whole year. And it's very difficult to keep your chin up and to get through that. But the more experience you get, the easier it is. But having said that, it's never easy. And in motorsport, you're only as good as your last result. So sometimes our races, they're not so many, and the Dakar is once a year. And if you have a bad Dakar, you've got to wait a whole year to get another chance. But for sure, to win a race like Morocco, it's also been one of the most successful races that I've competed in. I've won that 4 times. If you win it again, it does give you added confidence, and it just tells you that you can. I mean, you can still, you are still up there. You can still compete with the best, but for sure, you need to get some results. That does give you confidence.
Winning, nothing quite beats winning. Giniel, I want to go back a little bit to the buggy project, and I know that we've got a photograph of it. Talking about development in South Africa. So this was at the time when the Peugeot buggy appeared to be super fast, and I think Glenn asked the question of himself and the engineering team at Hall Speed, how fast can they make a buggy? And you did a lot of testing in this car. What was it like going from the four-wheel drive car, from a driving point of view, into the buggy, the essential driving differences?
Well, it's completely different. First of all, you got two-wheel drive as compared to the four-wheel drive of the Hilux. So, I think we didn't really give it a lot of time to develop it. It was a quick project, but we put in a lot of effort in the year that we had to try and get it up to speed, but we could never get it to go quicker than the 4x4. And I think what we made a mistake by putting the engine sort of into the middle of it, and those cars with a rear-wheel drive, they need the engine and things on the back to so that you can have a lot of traction. But we really tried hard, but we never could get it to go faster than our current 4x4 car. And that's another advantage that we had a very good 4x4 car, and we could compare it to that and make sure that we're not fooling ourselves.
There were some interesting concepts in that buggy, with the moving the engine further back, and some of the suspension and transmission layout that finally came through and carried through into the four-wheel drive, the current bucky, and made it a little bit better.
For sure, that helped again. That helped us again with the 4x4, because at that stage our 4x4 had the engine in the front, and our current Hilux at the moment has basically got the layout of that two-wheel drive buggy back then. So, everything helps each other at the end of the day. And at the moment, I must say we've got really a good car in the Hilux as it is at the moment, with the engine sitting in the middle, and the whole layout as it is at the moment. So you can't say that project was completely a waste of time. It did, we learned things there that we did incorporate in the 4x4 which we have at the moment.
Now, going forward and looking into the new rules, new regulations, new possibilities with turbocharged engines and V6 turbo, what are your feelings on going that route for the cross-country World Championship?
Well, we'll see. The clever guys like Glenn have to do their sums and see if the turbo engines is going to be better than the current normally aspirated V8 that we are using. I can't really say on that, but for sure it's exciting. It's exciting to have some new technology, new developments. Our current normally aspirated engine is really working well at the moment. If we don't go to very high altitudes like we did in the past, we're fine with that engine. But if the new engine's better, why not use it? It's new technology, and maybe it at the end of the day, it is a little bit better everywhere, and you can gain a bit.
The only thing that a V6 brings is a different sound. That V8 with the current exhaust layout is one of the finest sounding race cars in the world.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. I mean, unfortunately, that's one thing. A turbo engine never sounds as good as a normally aspirated engine. You can do what you want. I mean, even if you look at today's Formula One cars with a turbo V6 engine, it just doesn't sound as good as the 8 and the 10 cylinders did back then. Normally aspirated, the sound is the best, and sound is part of racing, unfortunately.
It involves all the emotions, which brings us, it would be remiss of us not to talk about the third quarter of last year and the development of Fernando Alonso into a truly quick cross-country racer. And you had a large part in helping him get to grips with cross-country racing. How did you find that experience? Almost, dare I say, coaching a Formula One world champion, a multiple sports car world champion?
Yeah, well, that's testament to how people view our South African project at the moment. A guy like Fernando, 2 times Formula One world champion, coming and wanting to try out the Dakar Rally. The fact that he puts his confidence in us, it just again shows you that South Africans can do it. We are up there with the rest of the world. We can compete with them. And yes, I couldn't teach Fernando how to drive, but I could show him, how we drive these cars in these different conditions. It was obviously something completely new to him. He wasn't used to it at all. But he's a very, very quick learner. You can see why he's achieved so much success in his life before. He has an incredible feeling for a motor car, and he when I took him to the dunes in Namibia, and I let him follow me in the dunes there, we went for 50, 60, 70 k's in the dunes, and I must say he's the first guy that I took in the dunes there that never got stuck or got stuck once or twice following me. It was just amazing how quickly he learns. You show him something once, and he immediately gets it. And you could even see in the Dakar this year how quickly he got up to speed. And at the end of the rally, he was really putting together some really competitive stage times. So, yeah, just another a privilege that I had of teaching some of these guys. And I met I was teammates with a lot of other guys like Colin McRae, Carlos Sainz, Ari Vatanen, all those guys. And it's just, great privilege to have been part of that. And the fact that I could be able to compete with these guys in the same team. And, they also learned me a lot at the end of the day.
You mentioned some unbelievable names there. And the question I've got for you is probably a two-part. Who was the fastest and the best driver that you, and they might be two different people, fastest driver and the best driver that you've ever raced against in any discipline?
Look, it's difficult to say. I mean, Colin was incredibly fast. But, probably as a complete guy, Carlos Sainz was one of the incredible, he was a great tester. He had a great feeling for a motor car. He could set up a motor car very well. He's incredibly tough. I've seen Carlos, it looks like he's down and out sometimes, and, he jumps into that car and he goes at breakneck speeds again. He's definitely one of the best all-round guys that I have competed against. I would say outright speed in terms of rallying, Colin was probably a bit faster, but just incredible how fast these guys could go.
And the other next question really goes to the cars. And do you have a favorite car or a car that has a really special place in your heart?
Well, I mean, it's difficult to say. I've driven so many nice cars over the years, but I have to say probably at the end of we went through a very difficult time in '95 and '96 with the Sentra, and at the end of '96 we got the Super Touring Nissan Primera, which we raced here in the two last international races. We had at Kailami and we also had one at Killarney. And that was, as far as track cars goes, that was probably my favorite track car that I've driven. It was just incredible how well the balance was, how well it handled. Everything just worked great on that car. And I managed to win 2 races here in Cape Town in that car against international competition back then. So as a track car, I would say that was probably my favorite one. And as an off-road car, it's a toss-up between the Hilux and the Touareg, which I won in 2009 with.
Always when you win a race, that car will always have a special place.
For sure.
But your win in Dakar in a Toyota has got to come.
I hope so. That'll be the cherry on the cake. I mean, I would love to, as a South African with a South African team, and everything that's been developed here and all the work that we've put in here. I'd love to win the Dakar with a Hilux still. That would absolutely be the high point. Let's see if it happens. I'll give it a few more tries, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'm certainly going to try my best.
They never ever give up.
No, that's for sure. You can't give up, and that's the one thing that Dakar has taught me. You can have a bad day in the Dakar, and while you're driving, you feel that you're completely out of it, and you've lost so much time, and it's a terrible day. And then you get to the finish, and you see that you finished 3rd or 4th. And then you just see that all the other guys have had a bad day as well. So the Dakar has taught me that, you can never give up. You must just keep on moving, keep on getting to the finish, and you never know what's going to happen.
You have to keep on fighting. Giniel de Villiers, it's been an absolute privilege talking to you today and having you share some of your memories. Thank you very much for your openness and for taking time out and sharing with us some of the memories and things that make you add you to the true legends of South African motorsport. Thank you very much for joining us.
No, thank you guys. It's been nice talking to you. At least I could kill some time, during this lockdown. And as I said, it is frustrating times, but we must keep fighting. It's a same as the sort of the Dakar thing. Keep on fighting. We will persevere at the end of the day, and we will get through this as well. So at the end of the day, we might end up being even stronger. And yeah, let's see how it plays out. But yeah, for the moment, stay safe.
You too, Giniel de Villiers, a true legend. Thank you very, very much for chatting to us, and thank you for watching. And I've got to have a huge shout out to Sparko. Go and have a look at they've got their online store coming. We've shared some of the videos of it. I've got to say thank you to the team in our Raceday complex in Pretoria. In particular, Ruan, who's made an unbelievable, fantastic move. To Fritz for driving the show, Henk for putting it together. Thank you very, very much, guys, for watching. And join us again for the next episode in Raceday Legends. Be good, be safe, be lekker. Cheers.